Greetings, intrepid viewers. This week for the misadventures of Brendan, I thought I would regale you with a story from way back in the day when I took a trip to Vegas. This was in 2002, which is relevant to the story later. But we all decided to go to a convention. We're nerds, so that's where we went. And when we took off, we were going to Las Vegas, and I live in Kansas. There we have what we call what's that stuff? Humidity here in Kansas, which is water in the air, which can cool you off on a hot day. It's 100 degrees here right now, which is kind of what reminded me of this. But we went to Las Vegas in August, which is, I think, 0% humidity all the time. So we drove all the way there, and on the way, we were driving along. I see a sign that says, no services next 106 miles. Everyone else in the car was asleep. So I'm sitting there doing the math in my head. I'm like, yeah, we can do it. So I'm driving along, everybody's asleep, everything's fine. I start doing the math again in my head, and the number of miles that we have left in the gas tank, according to the owner of the vehicle, was insufficient for the number of miles that I believed that we had left in the journey to the nearest gas station. So I turned off the air conditioning and leaving the windows up to maximize fuel efficiency. We're driving along. People start waking up because it's starting to get a little hot in the car. And they're like, man, it's hot in here. I'm like, yeah, I turned off the air conditioning. Like, well, turn it back on. No. And I explained the situation. He said, well, can we at least put the window down? I'm like, no. Too much drag. Long story short, we made it to the gas station on the other side, at which point the owner of the car looked at the chart that she had that spelled out, like, every time she filled up, she would write it down. And she looked at that and looked at the speedometer, or the odometer, and looked at the chart again, looked at the odometer and said, that shouldn't have happened. I'm like, yes, because I'm a genius. And then we continued on. So when we get there, we get out of the car, and we had all the Kansas air in the car. And then we get out of the car, and the Nevada air hits us in the face, and we notice that it's 1 billion degrees. And so we get out, and the wind kind of picks up for a second, and I'm like, oh, it's going to be a nice cool breeze. No, this is Nevada air. It was like sticking your face in a hot air popper. I'm like, oh, God, I know why they put this in Nevada now. Where's the casino? They're like, no, but we need to unload the car and get all this stuff. No, casino, now. So that's where we went. We went inside, and while the people who actually had the hotel room in their name were checking in, my good friend James and I looked over and saw slot machines. Just bells and whistles and lights everywhere, and we were instantly mesmerized. We went over to our friend Kenny because we didn't have any change in our pockets. We were like, Kenny, can we have a nickel? So Kenny gives us a nickel. We went over and we plunked it into a slot machine. It was a video slot machine, and went digga 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 digga, and we got a thing. It says, pick one of these pictures. So we picked a picture. We got 50 times our bet back. We're like, so we put a little bucket under it. Digga 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 digga. Went back to Kenny, handed him a nickel. Went, thanks, Kenny's nickel, and went on about our business. We gambled for about 2.5 hours on Kenny's nickel. At which point, when you put in the second nickel, somebody comes by and says, would you like a drink? And my Irish roots went, yes, I would like your biggest, strongest drink. So we were entertained and hammered for Kenny's nickel. Thanks, Kenny's nickel. As the weekend progressed, we went to check in with the convention people, and this is a role-playing convention, so we had characters to check in. The first table was the out-of-character check-in. The second table was the in-character check-in, and the third table was the charity table, because we always have a charitable thing. So we move along, and James throws down some money, and they're like, here are your raffle tickets, and he's like, all right. So he just kind of forgot about it. The drawing for the raffle was at 9 in the morning on Sunday, which I cannot swear in a court of law exists at a convention. So we just kind of forgot about it. Through the weekend, by random happenstance, I was asleep. James still happened to be awake on Sunday morning at 9 a.m. So he went to the drawing. And the third prize, which is the one that he actually wanted, was 3 tickets to the Star Trek experience. That's why it's important this happened in 2002. And the second prize was something inconsequential. And then the first prize was every single book that corresponds to the game we were playing, which was a stack about 20 to 30 books high at the time. So, since he already had most of those books, he really didn't care about that one. So they went along, they did the drawing, they're like, and third prize goes to the lady who ran the charity table, because obviously she had the most raffle tickets in there. So she's like, thank you, and wandered off. Second prize went to some asshole. And then James turned around to leave, and they went, and first prize goes to James. Well, he said his last name. I'm not going to say it on YouTube. It goes to James. And he goes, And he just kind of turns back around, and he heads over to the table with this bewildered look on his face. Again, I'm getting all of this secondhand, because I was asleep. And they hand him this gigantic stack of books. And while doing so, they said, you should look way more happy than you are. And he looked with the bewildered look, and he went, and then turned and walked off. So he's over at an unoccupied table afterwards, sorting his books. Got it, need it, got it, need it, got it. And he makes a small stack and a larger stack. And Valerie, the third prize winner, wanders over and goes, well, what you doing? And he says, I'm making a stack of the ones that I need and the ones that I already actually have. And she goes, well, we're trying to enhance the number of books we have for our chapter. Would a trade be in order? And he goes, why, sure. And she throws down the tickets to the Star Trek experience, picks up the pile of books he already had and didn't want, and wanders off. So he's standing there, he's like, I can't believe that just happened. So he comes and wakes me up with this information. He comes in and he starts throwing books on my unconscious ass. And I'm like, what the god? Why are you? Oh my god, you won. He goes, yeah, remember how there were way more books than this? Well, I traded them for this. And he shows me the envelope with a picture of the Enterprise on it. I'm like, ugh. Because I wasn't going to get to go. I gambled all my money away, which wasn't a lot to begin with. It was 2002 and I was 24 and super broke. So I was happy as a clam. And then, so there were 3 tickets in there, and there were 5 of us that wanted to go. 3 of us wanted to go, 2 of them wanted to go to see my reaction. Because this is my Shangri-La. I have been a Trekkie since I was, I don't know, what's the word? Born. So, we go, and they stamp your hand with whatever the Star Trek symbol of the day is. And then you go through, and there's all of these props behind glass. And you're looking at it, there's uniforms, and there's tricorders, and there's stuff, and there's little screens that were showing episodes. And on the other side was the timeline of what's been going on in the Star Trek universe from the beginning of time until the end of the series, which at the time we were in, I believe, season 2 of Enterprise. So it was a pretty complete storyline. So we're going along, and I'm talking about, look at that thing, and that thing there, and there were these things, and this is the story behind this, and look at this episode, and then we got to the end of it, and they take your picture, because they're going to put your face in a crew picture later on. I got one of those, it's pretty cool. But, and then they go in, and they go, okay, we'll get on the ride, and I went, that was just the line? And everybody, the people with us, the people that not with us, just fell out laughing. I was just beside myself. So we go, there was like a Borg over there, but we step in, and storyline wise, you're stepping into this little dark room, and they're telling you, well, get on the shuttle simulator and watch your step and all this, and then everything goes all crazy on the screen, and then the room goes completely dark, there's a whoosh of air, and you're standing on a transporter pad. And I thought that was the most amazing thing in the entire world. I turned and I went, nobody tell me how they did that. If you know how they did that and you tell me, I will kill you. And everybody laughed again. I was kind of the star of the show at this point until, the actual Star Trek people came in and they were stars of the show because they were really good. So we're going down the hallway and they're like, oh, we're in battle, and everybody's Shatnering back and forth. And we get in the turbo lift and it gimbals back and forth and we're all just falling down. I'm like, this is awesome. And then the door opens to a replica of the actual Enterprise D bridge, which literally it floored me. I was like, oh. The door opened, I was like, hey, I need a towel. So we go in and we're standing next to the science alcove, the engineering section here. And I look over and I'm like, I know what all these buttons do. And everybody's like, don't touch the buttons. You don't know what they'll do. And so we're standing there, and the storyline is that Picard was there, but then when all of us showed up from the time hole, he disappeared, which means one of us is his direct ancestor, and everybody pointed at me. And I'm like, so we continue on, and we get in the thing, and it's a shuttle simulator, and the door shuts, and I look over, and there's buttons there, too. I'm like, I know what these buttons do, too. And I reach out, and I hear a voice go, you're not allowed to push that button. And I went, okay. So they were into it, too. I love the people there. So we go on the ride, and it's really awesome. We go back and forth, and when we get out, you get out, and you go up an elevator, and you're on the DS9 promenade. And I'm just wandering around, like when Cartman got his own amusement park on South Park. I'm so happy. And it's just Chateau de Me everywhere. Everything I could ever want. And so one of the people that went with us actually worked at the Star Trek experience. So he got a discount. So when we had lunch at Quark's, we got a discount there, and I got to answer the question, how would you like that replicated? Which just gave me glee to no end. And I'm sitting there eating my burger, and the souvenir place across the hall is playing my favorite episode of Next Gen. Timescape, by the way, if anyone cares. And it's on a floor-to-ceiling screen, and I'm just like, this is serendipity. This was supposed to happen. And so we're eating, and we're having a great time, and we're talking, and we're laughing, and then we go over and get some souvenirs, and I got myself a piece of gold-pressed latinum. And since our friend Matt got the discount, I actually abided by the rules of acquisition. Only fools pay retail when acquiring gold-pressed latinum. Feather in my cap. And so, and then they're a couple more hours go by. We're just wandering around looking at things. I got the little squished quarters, the machine that spits out a quarter with the Enterprise on it, and I'm like, this is great. And there's more things over here and stuff, and they're like, all right, it's time to go. And I'm holding onto the side of the wall. I'm like, no, don't make me leave. The real world is out there. And so I just had the greatest day, and the people that actually had to pay for it said that was totally worth the price of admission, was to see me doing all of this stuff and having such an amazing time. They didn't even care about what was actually going on. They were watching me the whole time. So that was my trip. That was the highlights of my trip to Vegas. I won't bore you with all the random stuff about me gambling and talking to friends and stuff. So if you like it, hit like. If you like our channel, subscribe. And I'll see you next time with the Misadventures of Brandon. Have a good day.